Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read a railway story by Guy de Maupassant. It's translated by David Coward, and it begins with a group of people on a train, and they come to a stop, and one of the people in the carriage says, "Oh, this is the part of town where all of the murders happened." And while they're waiting, they decide to pass the time telling scary stories in order to frighten each other. And they go around, and finally, there's a doctor who recounts a tale, and he begins by describing this beautiful Russian woman that he had met, and she was in Russia and very sick and had to go to France in order to um, be medically treated. And so her husband, the Russian woman's husband, puts her on the train, gives her money, and sends her off to this doctor in France. And the Russian woman is in her own private carriage, and decides that she wants to recount her money. She has a purse full of gold French coins, and while she's counting her money, her door to her private carriage bursts open, and there's a silhouette of a large man, and he comes in, and his hand is injured and it's wrapped up, and he looks very intimidating, and the woman is so scared that she spills the gold coins all over the floor. And this strange man shuts the door behind him and says, "Don't be scared. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to rob you, but please help me." And as a show of good faith, this man with the injured hand that she has never met, he gets on his hands and knees and collects all the gold coins that are on the ground. And he hands them back to her and says, "Please help me." So he's trying to get out of Russia for some unknown reason, and she decides that she will help him, but she tells him, "I'm going to help you, but don't ever speak to me. I don't ever want to have to deal with you again." And she disguises him and gets him out of Russia. So the man escapes, and the woman goes on and meets her doctor. The doctor is the person that's telling this story. So the woman is now in France in the doctor's office, and the doctor looks out his window and sees a figure sitting on a park bench. And as soon as the person looks back and sees the doctor, he gets up and walks away. And the doctor comments how odd that was. And so the woman tells the doctor this interaction that she had on the train and what happened, and says, "The man has followed me every day since. He's like my shadow. And he's kept his word. He's never spoken to her. He doesn't come and bother or deal with her in any way, but he's always just out of sight, or just right there." The woman, meanwhile, keeps going to the doctor, and she's sick. And finally, she dies. And this man that she had met on the train, who had followed her for the rest of her life, he comes into the doctor's office, and he says, "Can I please see her?" And the doctor agrees. So the man goes and sees the dead body of the Russian woman, and he kisses her, and then he runs out of the room like a mad thing. That's how Maupassant describes it. And the doctor, I'll read this. The doctor paused once more. "That," he went on, "is the strangest tale about railways I know. Still, you've got to admit that folk can be very peculiar indeed." And then there's a woman also in this carriage where they're telling these frightening stories. And she gives her response to the story that she just heard, the story that we just heard. She said, "A woman said quietly, 'Those two weren't half as mad as you make out. They were, they were,' but she couldn't go on because she had started to cry. And since everyone immediately began talking about other things to take her mind off it, we never did find out what she meant." So it's a story that's like verging on supernatural. There's something um, otherworldly, very special about this bizarre circumstance. But the thing uh, that I want to point out is this is a story within a story, and this is a feature of Maupassant that is recurring. He has these nested narrations as a function of framing um, the story that he's going to tell. So you'll read something where somebody is telling you a story that somebody else had said, and things like that. And I don't know why Maupassant does that. I know for me, the feeling that I get is that um, there's a story being told to me by somebody. The person that's telling me is a fictional character, but instead of words on a text or um, some godlike narration coming from the heavens, or a narration that's a first person where you're in someone else's mind, instead of all of those different ways that you can tell a story, this is someone that's engaging with you. So while we're hearing about the sick Russian woman and the injured man trying to escape Russia, while we're hearing this, we're also on the train hearing a frightening story with the rest of the passengers. Um, it's such a great way of feeling engaged with the text that you're reading. So yeah, that's it. A Railway Story by Guy de Maupassant. Let me know if you've read it, or if you've read anything else by Maupassant, or anything like that. And leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.